All right, guys, welcome back. This is Unit 13, the Western Hemisphere. We're going to be talking about the Mayans, the Aztecs, and the Incas. You can see right there, that is Tulum. Tulum is one of the Mayan cities in the Yucatan Peninsula. And in the video game Assassin's Creed 4, you actually travel to many different ruins, but this is Tulum in particular. You can see they did a fairly decent job of modeling it, what it really looks like in real life, but it is a little bit bigger than what the ruins are, but to be fair, it could have crumbled over time if Assassin's Creed was real, which it's not. But anyway, it's a lot of fun. So again, this is my favorite unit. Lots of cool stuff we're going to be talking about. So let's get started. All right, so first, to get started, we're going to take an overview of the geography. So we have all three of these civilizations are located in Central and South America. So there is an abbreviation, AMI, A-M-I, the Aztecs, Mayans, and Incas. So you can see the Aztecs are in central Mexico. The Mayans, the green little area, that is the Yucatan Peninsula. It looks like a thumb sticking up. And then in the Andes Mountains of South America, we have the Inca. In general, the Mayans are usually talked about first because of the time period, chronologically. However, for the map, just remember AMI, A-M-I. It goes from left to right to the south. So again, Aztecs, Mayans, then Inca. So here we have the Mayans. As I just said, they're the first ones we're going to be talking about, and they're on the Yucatan Peninsula. So you can see the little cutout, and it's highlighted in green. The Mayan civilization was located on the Yucatan Peninsula, which looks like a thumb sticking up from Central America. That's an easy way to find it. So you can look to the left, the bigger map, and you can see exactly where that thumb sticking out is. So if you look above, you can see Florida, Texas, and so on, from the United States to give you an idea of where you are. This unit's not very long, so geography is important. So you can always come back to this part of the video anytime you need to. So taking a closer look at the Aztec, you can see, based on the bigger map to the left, you can see they're in central Mexico, or what is central Mexico today. And then if you look at the cross section over to the right, it's right there in the middle. You can see the Yucatan Peninsula sticking up over to the right or to the east. The Aztec civilization was located in the arid or dry valley of central Mexico. There is a deodorant called Arid Extra Dry, so if you forget what the word arid means, again, it means dry. That is a vocabulary word that'd be important to know. So just for your information, the Aztecs are sometimes called the Mexica, and they're considered to be the ancestors for all current Mexican people. So last up in terms of geography, the Inca are located in South America. The highlighted area shows that they're up in the Andes Mountains, so they have a lot of high altitude issues that we'll be talking about within the notes. So again, remember the Inca, they're high up in the mountains, and you'll see their famous city, Machu Picchu, which is fascinating. Because of the high altitude, the Inca have to adapt. It's not just one city that's up in the high altitude, it's most of them. And there are so many cities scattered throughout the Andes Mountains, but Machu Picchu is famous because it was one of the last ones to be found. Okay, so what you need to know about the Mayans. First, they're located in the Mexican and Central American rainforest. Now, next up, it says they're represented by Chichen Itza, or some people pronounce it Chichen Itza. If you look to the left, that is the pyramid called El Castillo, or the Temple of Kukulkan. Kukulkan is their main god, the winged serpent, and we'll talk more about him in a few minutes. One thing that's unique about the Mayans compared to the other two is they have city-states ruled by kings. So the Mayans were not one group of people under one ruler. They had many different rulers. Each of these cities sometimes cooperated with each other, and sometimes they fought each other. Their economy is based on agriculture and trade. And last, they have a polytheistic religion, and pyramids are very important to them. The pyramids are part of their religious beliefs. The importance of pyramids is also shared with the Aztec, because that's something in the end here you're going to need to be able to compare and contrast these civilizations. So what you're looking at here is a map of the archaeological site, which is Chichen Itza. So you can see there's the pyramid called El Castillo. That's the name the Spanish conquistadors gave it because it was so big. Now, I'm going to give you a little tour here from Flight Simulator. There's several things that are very, very interesting. First off, you can always rewind and go back and look at the map, but if you look down at the bottom of the screen, you see like a dark circle. That is one of the cenotes. That's where their water comes from, and it's also where they perform human sacrifices. Now you can see in the middle of the screen coming to the bottom, that is one of the other sacred cenotes. There are actually 4, but 2 of them are hidden in the jungle. Now the pyramid, some people call the pyramid Chichen Itza, but that is the name of the whole city. That is El Castillo, or the Temple of Kukulkan. Now if you look there, there are 2 snake heads at the bottom of the steps, and you can see in the cut-in picture. On the equinox of every year, the 2 dates, the shadow looks like the snake is crawling down. So now what's highlighted on the screen is called El Caracol. This looks very similar to a modern day observatory, something where you look up into the sky. So that's pretty interesting. So moving right along, we're going back up near El Castillo, and this is what's called the ball court. The Mayans are famous for having this ball game where 2 teams played a game that was similar to soccer or basketball, but the hoop was a little bit different. What makes it interesting, though, is the losing team was sacrificed. That would be interesting today, wouldn't it? So that brings us to the Aztec. The Aztec are located in the arid valley of central Mexico. Remember, arid equals dry. They're represented by Tenochtitlan. If you look to the left, that is the ruins of Tenochtitlan. You can't go visit that as a whole, meaning the city was conquered by the Spanish conquistadors, and they literally buried what was left of Tenochtitlan under what's modern-day Mexico City. So you can see some of the ruins, but it's kind of hard to find. And we'll talk more about that in a moment. But they're also ruled by an emperor. So the Aztecs were united under one ruler. They have an economy based on agriculture and tribute from conquered people. So tribute is where they go and conquer people and say, hey, if you don't do what we say, we're going to kill you, whatever, so we want money. It's kind of like the mafia today. But remember, tribute is demanding gifts from conquered people. Also, they have a polytheistic religion as well. Pyramids are very important, including ritual. This is Tenochtitlan, or this is an artist's rendering of it. Obviously, there were no cell phones, cameras, anything like that back in the time, so the Spanish conquistadors gave a detailed description of what it was like when they found it. So there was a lake called Lake Texcoco, and it was built in the middle of this lake, and there's a whole origin story that hopefully your regular teacher has, shared with you. But what I'm zooming in on now is what modern-day Mexico City looks like. So if you look towards the left, there's a blue star. There's a couple, but there's a blue star. That is the city center. It's a big square in modern Mexico, and to the north of that, right above it, is a huge cathedral. But now I'm going to zoom in one last time. That is the tops of the pyramids sticking up. So if you look right there in the middle, so what happened is the Spanish conquistadors, they drained Lake Texcoco. They drained it, got rid of all the water. They diverted it to other places, and it's dried up. It's not there. So all those ruins are underneath. There is a small section of the man-made chinampas, those little islands that you saw connected. They're man-made. They needed them for agriculture. So here's some of the various ruins that you can see if you go visit Mexico City today. Now, the Aztec were very clean. They had running water. This is an aqueduct, very similar to a Roman aqueduct, which is fascinating. So this one is still there in Mexico City today. Next up, we have the Inca. They're located in the Andes Mountains of South America, and they're represented by Machu Picchu. So if you look to the left, Machu Picchu is this city that's way up in the Andes Mountains. I'm going to show you in Flight Simulator how high up it is. So this is a big tourist attraction today, but you have to hike way up there, to get there and see it. This is so out of the way that the Spanish conquistadors never found this city. And it's one of the only ritual stones that are left of the Incas because the Spanish were Catholics and they destroyed them. So the Inca are very much like the Aztec, where they have one centralized ruler. They're ruled by an emperor. Their economy is based on high altitude agriculture. They have a polytheistic religion, so that's something all three of these people have, is polytheistic religion, meaning many gods. Now the Inca are also famous for their road system. If you look at the picture down at the bottom, they're very intricate. So this is from Flight Simulator. One of the cool things about Machu Picchu is that the Spanish conquistadors never found it. If you're looking at the center of the map, you can see zigzagging up an Incan road. So you would, instead of going straight up, which would be very difficult, they would go left to right, back and forth, etc. The city itself is sitting there in the middle of that highest peak and facing it in the middle of the screen right now. And it's a lot of ruins there. And if you see the pictures, if you zoom back to the video earlier, there's no rooftops because they would have been made of wood and it would not have survived. But again, this is so high up in the mountains, it's out of the way. And even archaeologists today are not really sure what this was for. Some people think it was like a vacation spot for the emperor. Who knows? But it's fascinating. And again, modern Europeans did not become aware of it until the 1920s. And of course, obviously, the people living there knew that it was there, but by the time it was discovered by Europeans, it was overgrown with, grass, dirt, etc. Okay, so we have to know this. All three of these civilizations are very important, and they share three key things. These are all guaranteed things that will show up on SOLs, benchmarks, statewide tests. All three of them had calendars. All three of them had mathematics systems, and they also had writing and record-keeping systems. Now, obviously, we've heard of the Mayan calendar because the world was supposed to end in 2012, right? Well, that's not really true. It's their calendar ended then, and because they're no longer around, they never made a new one. Okay, this is the last thing, but this might be the most important of all. So I would highly suggest that you revisit this Venn diagram as much as you need to. So this is comparing and contrasting the Mayans, Aztecs, and Inca. So if you don't know what a Venn diagram, each circle, there are three, each circle represents one of these three civilizations. So one circle, the one at the top, is the Mayans, the one at the bottom left is the Aztec, and the one to the bottom right is the Inca. They're overlapping. So in the middle, what I've highlighted in red, that is what all of them have in common. Calendars, math, writing, record keeping. They all have some type of agriculture, and they all have polytheistic religion. But if you look at the Mayans, they're the only ones represented by Chichen Itza. They have city-states and kings. They're in the Mexican and Central American rainforest, so they're in the jungle. Whereas you go down to the Aztecs, they have Tenochtitlan, tribute, rituals. They're in the arid valley of central Mexico, but they have the pyramids in common with the Mayans. So if you go over to the Inca, the Aztec and the Inca, they are both ruled by emperors, so that's something they have in common. But the Inca by themselves have Machu Picchu, high altitude agriculture, a road system. They have Andes Mountains in South America, and they have nothing in common with the Mayans. So that's one of the things when you're looking at this. What do they have in common with each other? I have seen on tests before where they give you a Venn diagram and they have things filled in and there's a question mark and you have to figure out, hey, was that this, that, or whatever. It's not too hard. To be fair, if you just familiarize yourself with it, you shouldn't have to memorize it. But again, you can rewind, watch the video as many times as you need. All three of these groups of people are interesting. They all practice human sacrifice, which is something that, for example, the movie Apocalypto depicts in it if you're ever interested in seeing something similar. But again, very interesting group of people. It's one of my favorites. Again, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag shows some of the Mayan ruins within it that you can visit, which is pretty cool. So again, this is a very short unit and it's not a lot of information. So just review it as you need. Good luck, and I'll see you. Only 2 more videos to go.